Yo, what's up guys? My name is Caleb, otherwise known as the Critic Kebab, and today we're reviewing Avengers Infinity War. Avengers Infinity War, directed by the Russo brothers, was released in April of 2018 and stars every main Marvel character. That includes all the Avengers, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and the Guardians of the Galaxy. After 10 years and 19 movies, we have finally culminated in this massive blockbuster movie event that brings all our heroes together in the Infinity War. In this installment, we follow the Mad Titan Thanos in his search for the Infinity Stones, 6 powerful gems that control an aspect of the universe, and our heroes must put an end to his scheme to save everything they know and love. We have been building up to this moment for so long, and Marvel Studios have finally delivered an action-packed and an emotional roller coaster that lives up to the hype. Just a reminder that the beginning of this review will have no spoilers, so if you haven't seen this movie yet, no need to fear. Now, without further ado, let's get into this. First of all, I need to praise Thanos as the villain. Josh Brolin as Thanos was great, and his motion capture performance was fantastic. The visual effects are impeccable, and every detail of Brolin's performance is captured and illustrated on screen, as the detail and subtle mannerisms look convincing. He is scary and incredibly intimidating, living up to all the expectations that have been put upon him since his first appearance in The Avengers. You are able to sympathize and empathize with him, because he is determined to accomplish his goal, whilst making difficult decisions along the way. Because the villain is always the hero of their own story, so you understand why he makes the choices he does. It's safe to say that Thanos is the main character of this story. He has the most screen time, and you follow his journey of obtaining the Infinity Stones. The screenplay does an amazing job of connecting you with this character, making him easily one of the best villains in the MCU. Right from the start, you feel his presence, and the serious tone is set immediately, making you fear him throughout the entire film. Now, if you've been following along with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you will enjoy this movie far more than most, because this film relies on the previous films and the character development set up there. This movie is bringing together every main character, and the Russo brothers balanced it very well. Some characters are used less than others, but overall they accomplished an impossible task of balancing all these different characters and their traits and tones perfectly, and it all works so well. There are no real character arcs for our heroes. They are just introduced and then put into a situation, allowing for the primary story to start without delay. Obviously, all the acting performances are great, but it's the character interactions that steal the movie. Certain characters work fantastic on screen, and it's great to see these comic book characters work together. The storyline with Vision and Wanda deserves specific praise due to an emotional development that's built over the movies. The incorporation of Wakanda and Black Panther's list of characters was great to see, and the Guardians of the Galaxy were a fantastic addition, adding great humour at all the right moments. This is an unprecedented movie event, so the film is structured in a way that is different to most. However, the film has a fast pacing that never slows the story. From a technical perspective, the Russo brothers have expertly crafted an epic scale film set both on Earth and in space. The cinematography is great, especially the use of colours and the integration of visual effects. There are some shots that are less convincing, but overall it is seamlessly integrated. The score is great, as well as the sound design and editing. And once again, the Russo brothers have shot incredible action scenes with amazing fight choreography. This time, more epic in scope, while still maintaining an emotional resonance. This movie also has great humour that works most of the time. What this movie excels at is incorporating all these different characters that you've emotionally invested in and balancing all of it so well. This cannot go understated, because this is an incredible filmmaking achievement, and Marvel Studios have demonstrated why they are a blockbuster powerhouse. However, this is not a perfect film. My only real problems are that the Black Order as characters were underdeveloped and not explained very well. Based on the film, I couldn't tell you any of their names, which is disappointing. Their presence does not go unnoticed, and they have some awesome action moments, but they were just underdeveloped in my opinion. And my other issue was that some of the tonal shifts didn't work perfectly. There were times where we had just had a serious, dramatic scene, and then we'd transition into a scene with a joke. And emotionally, I didn't know what to feel, because I was still shitting bricks from the previous scene. But these problems do not take away from the entertainment of the film, and for the most part, the jokes still land. Overall, this is an incredible superhero movie that illustrates all these awesome characters coming together in the same movie. This is a visually stunning film with great use of colour, but also a story with dramatic stakes and emotional investment. If you've been following along with these characters over the last 10 years, you will love this culmination, as this is an impressive filmmaking achievement. Thanos as the antagonist is great, as he provides a powerful menace that threatens all our heroes. This is an emotional rollercoaster with tons of surprises along the way. Therefore, Avengers Infinity War receives an A. I highly recommend this film, and it is definitely deserving of your time, especially if you're a fan of the superhero genre. If you're new around here, check out my debut video on the channel. It's got a movie montage and lets you know what to expect from my channel moving forward. It's going to be movie reviews and reactions and more, so feel free to check it out. Now, if you haven't seen this movie yet, go and see it. And once you've seen the film, come back, rewatch my review, and let me know what you agree or disagree with. Let's create a fun, healthy discussion down in the comments below. Now, let's get into my spoiler chat, where we can discuss some of my spoiler thoughts on the movie. So if you haven't seen it yet, turn this video off now. First of all, the silent Marvel Studios fanfare as that starts, no epic music or anything. I turned over to my mate and we both looked at each other and we said, oh shit, this is gonna get serious straight away. And as soon as the fanfare finished and we got straight into the Asgard ship being invaded, we know shit was going down. Obviously, the Black Order have come through, wiped out half the Asgardians, and there's just total destruction everywhere. We have Thanos, torturing Thor, Loki obviously revealing the Tesseract, handing it over, all that. And then we have that awesome moment where we have Hulk and Thanos fight for a moment. It was such an awesome moment, Hulk coming out of nowhere, taking him on. And then we have that moment where one of the Black Order members say, let him have his fun. And we just see Thanos absolutely wreck Hulk. And this set the tone straight away that this guy can fight and this guy is dangerous. Because Hulk is one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel Universe, but Thanos is even more powerful. So seeing him destroy Hulk that quickly was crazy and was totally unexpected. And obviously we have that quick moment of Heimdall, summoning the Bifrost and sending Hulk back to Earth. And unfortunately we then get the death of Heimdall. Such a sad moment seeing this character that we've had since the first Thor movie, bite it. And it was really depressing watching Thor, react and helplessly to all this, as this is unfolding. Such a depressing moment. And then we obviously have Loki, go up to Thanos, try and stab him, all that. And in this moment, you just know Loki's gonna bite it. And unfortunately, I didn't want it to happen, but the way he went out was perfect, in my opinion. Because in his last moments, he's really embracing his relationship with Thor and Asgard. Loki, Prince of Asgard, all that. This is such a great character arc from this character that we've had all the way from the first Thor movie, him being the good guy, and then the bad guy, and then kind of being topsy-turvy between some of the films, not knowing what side he's going to turn on. But ultimately, he was a good character and tried to do the right thing. And his character arc throughout this franchise has been really good. And unfortunately, Loki does die at the end of this scene. Because Thanos says no resurrections this time. And this sets the tone immediately for the rest of the film that anyone can die. And the threat of Thanos is real. So throughout moving out the rest of the movie, we fear for our characters because we know Thanos is not messing around. After all that, we then transition into Hulk, falling in from the sky and landing in the Sanctum Sanctorum with Doctor Strange and Wong. So that was a cool interaction, and then we have the title card. Straight after that, we then have Tony and Pepper walking through the park and having some real genuine dialogue and having a great character moment. Obviously now they're engaged, and they're, Tony's had a dream of having a child and all that. So it's just building that little character development, but this little bit of dialogue made me worry for Tony Stark and even Pepper to an extent about one of these characters potentially not making it, because when you talk about happy stuff like that, it means you're normally gonna not have a happy ending. We then have Doctor Strange and Bruce Banner come out of the portal. Bruce reunited with Tony. Stephen congratulates them on their engagement, all that. And then we see Tony come back to the Sanctum Sanctorum and get that explanation of who Thanos is and what's about to happen. And then Tony whips out the phone to call Steve Rogers, the one he received at the end of Civil War. But before that can happen, it's too late. The Black Order's already coming down, coming to collect the Time Stone. And we had some great moments during this part. We obviously have Bruce trying to turn back into the Hulk, but Hulk's not having it. He's too scared, doesn't want to emerge back out. I thought that was a great bit of comedy that they had with that. And then we have the awesome moment where Iron Man, it starts up his nanotech Iron Man suit, walks out, and then just we see his suit, go off and create all these different things. Just such an awesome advancement of the Iron Man suit and technology. Then we have that awesome fight scene with Iron Man and Doctor Strange working together, and we have Peter Parker on the school bus. His hairs on his arm raised. His Spidey sense. Gets out, comes and helps out. It's awesome just seeing Spider-Man come out of nowhere, help out these different characters. It's like a comic book come to life, because it's just so cool seeing all these different colorful characters work together, because this is the first time we're seeing Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man and Bruce Banner to an extent in the same frame together. Such an awesome fight scene that had some great action moments in it. And as this fight scene escalates, we then have Spider-Man, chasing after, the wizard, as Tony said. Great moment. And then obviously the ship's going out to space. And then we have that awesome moment where Tony, shoots up with the rocket booster on his legs, and then he calls out the Iron Spider suit from the Avengers facility. Comes out, and then we also see that the Iron Spider suit is also nanotech. It attaches itself to Peter, and then it all goes around him, and then we see the awesome shot of the Iron Spider suit in its full glory. After this, we then transition back into space with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and we see, Thor interact with them for the first time. Such a great moment. All the dialogue and comedy that came with that, just so good. I love the funny interactions between, Gamora, Thor, and Star-Lord. Just such great comedy, the way they're talking about his muscles and all that. So just really well done. I love the way Drax and Rocket were incorporated in the scene, having some great comedic moments with Thor. I love how Rocket asserts himself as the captain sort of thing. And obviously Thor has some great comedic moments as well, because he has the same essence of Thor Ragnarok, but it's a different approach, and the Russo brothers did it very well. And then at some stage we then have Peter and Gomorrah have that really intimate scene where they're talking about, if Thanos gets a hold of me, you need to kill me so that I don't reveal certain information, obviously that being the location of the Soul Stone. This creates obviously that moral dilemma for Peter, having to kill the person he loves, and we see that pay off later on in the movie. Now we get into some of my favourite parts of the movie, the relationship between Wanda and the Vision. Ever since I found out about their relationship in the comics, I've been rooting for them to get together in the movies. Obviously, we had a little tease of that in Age of Ultron, Vision coming through, swooping, picking her up. We had a bit more of an exploration of that in Civil War. Their chemistry starting to, spark with that. And then in this movie, obviously, since the time of Civil War, that relationship has only grown stronger. And I love the chemistry that, Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen had. Such great earnest moments between them. Even though Vision is a robot, he's evolving into more like a human. And it's just such a great moments that they had together. But obviously Wanda looks out at the news, Vision, has that realization that's what the Mind Stone is warning me about. And as he goes to walk off, he gets stabbed straight through the chest by one of the members of the Black Order. From this moment, Vision is broken throughout the rest of the film. And that's why he's unable to use a lot of his powers, and why he's, a bit underpowered in this movie, because he's broken. He's, basically dying throughout this entire film because of that being stabbed. He has that moment where he's like, I can't phase anymore. So immediately he's depowered after that being stabbed. And this creates stakes for Vision moving forward. We then have a fantastic action scene between Wanda and Vision and the members of the Black Order. Just great fight choreography. The Russo brothers did such an amazing job. They just keep stepping it up from Winter Soldier, Civil War, and even in this. It was great seeing more of Scarlet Witch use her powers and be more involved with the action. It was great to see her move around, and obviously we get to see more of her powers, of her flying and her telekinesis. Just great stuff. Obviously, this fight scene then takes us into the train station, and we have the awesome reveal of Captain America, behind the train. The Black Order member throws her spear, he catches it, and I love the moment he throws it back, and it's actually Black Widow that catches the spear, and then we have that awesome fight scene. We have the original Avengers music. Such a great moment, seeing the Falcon and all these different characters come back together, take on the Black Order. And it sells that idea of the secret Avengers, because obviously Steve and Natasha and Sam and all that have been working together behind the scenes, taking care of threats and all that. But obviously Bruce gave Steve a call, let him know what kind of danger Vision was in, and then they came through, rescued them, and it was just a great action scene, and seeing all these characters come back together on the big screen. We then have all these characters go back to the Avengers facility. They reunite back up with Rhodey. But the big thing with this is that obviously we have Natasha and Bruce see each other for the first time since Age of Ultron. Such a heartfelt moment, and you can really feel the emotion on Natasha's face in this moment. Just seeing the man she loves. Now, somewhere in this scene, it's mentioned that Scott Lang, the Ant-Man, and Clint Barton, Hawkeye, are they took a deal with the government and they're under house arrest. Which was really interesting. I thought that they would kind of be off doing their own thing, maybe with Nick Fury, but actually they're with their families, just under house arrest. So that was an interesting thing that I learned in this movie. So it's going to be interesting to see how Ant-Man and the Wasp, coming out later this year, factors into Avengers Infinity War and the whole storyline with that, if he is indeed under house arrest. And now we know why Jeremy Renner wasn't on the poster, because, well, he simply wasn't in the movie. Now, somewhere in here, we then have a Thanos flashback. We see, Thanos invading Gomorrah's homeworld, with the Chitauri. That was an awesome scene there. And, seeing him wipe out, all of her people, keeping Gomorrah for himself and raising her. In this scene, we obviously get to see Thanos as more of a compassionate, fatherly figure. And it really humanizes him in this moment, even though what he's doing is very evil. Now, the next big thing I want to talk about is the involvement of Peter Dinklage and him assisting Thor with the creation of the Stormbreaker weapon. Now, I found out ages ago that Peter Dinklage was indeed going to be a part of this movie, but we had no idea what type of character he was going to be. A few people had speculated that he might have had something to do with the creation of Thor's new weapon. But seeing him come on screen, him being still a dwarf size but huge, it was just really funny, and it was awesome seeing his character, interact with Rocket and Groot and obviously Thor. And then sometime after this, we have Tony and Doctor Strange and obviously Spider-Man. The ship's going back to Titan, and then we have obviously some of the Guardians members break into the ship, and we have that fight scene between some of the Guardians and some of the Avengers. A great fight scene. It was awesome seeing these characters interact for the first time, but also slowly figure out wait, we're on the same side sort of thing. Such a great moment. I love all the comedy they had with that. So now we have some of our heroes on Titan, trying to figure out a plan and having some funny moments with that. But also we have Doctor Strange using the Time Stone and viewing alternative futures. And out of all the possibilities, there's only one where they win. And I'm interested to see if Doctor Strange giving up the Time Stone had anything to do with them actually winning. Because that obviously played a very pivotal part in Thanos' victory later on. On the other side of the galaxy, we have Thanos and Gomorrah. Obviously, the location of the Soul Stone has been revealed. So they're going to this place, and we get this awesome reveal Like in the cinema, people just lit up when the Red Skull came out of the shadows. Obviously, Hugo Weaving came back, got the prosthetic on, looking incredible. But it was just so awesome to see Red Skull return in the movies. Obviously, it's been theorized ever since he shot up into the Tesseract in Captain America, the first Avenger, and it was great seeing him come back and have that moment with the Soul Stone, with Thanos, and all that. Just a great reveal and awesome fan service moment. Now, towards the conclusion of this scene, it's a really emotional and heartbreaking moment for Thanos. We actually get to see him have a bit of emotion for Gomorrah, his favorite daughter. And unfortunately, in order to receive the Soul Stone, he has to sacrifice a soul. So obviously he throws Gomorrah down and we see her die. Whether she stays dead, that's another question. But this was a really WTF moment. And obviously then Thanos is rewarded with the Soul Stone after the impactful sacrifice of his favorite daughter, Gomorrah. Now, jumping ahead to my next big thing is obviously Thanos comes back to Titan and we have that awesome fight scene between, the members of the Avengers and Guardians and stuff. And we're seeing all this different fight choreography. Again, the heroes, working together and, combining their powers. Just great stuff. And then we have that awesome moment where they actually get Thanos down, where they're trying to take the gauntlet off. We see the Iron Spider suit, the arms come out of his back, and do stuff with that. And then we have that awesome moment where Doctor Strange opens the portal and Mantis comes through, lands on his head, and attempts to put him to sleep. Such a great moment. And then unfortunately we have that, emotional moment with Peter, where we have the revelation that, yes, Thanos killed Gomorrah. And in this moment, you really wish that he just didn't do it and just kept his cool for that little bit longer. But unfortunately, love makes you do stupid things. And he lashed out in this moment and stuffed it up. And now Thanos is just pissed off, gets the gauntlet back on, and we continue the fight scene with just more devastation. We see Thanos rip the moon, throw it at Iron Man, just awesome cosmic type stuff. And we see more of the fight scene with Thanos, with one-on-one stuff with the characters. We see him, fight Doctor Strange. We see some magical, trippy type stuff with that. And then we have one-on-one with Iron Man. Just tons of great moments, heroic moments. And seeing these two, these characters come together and fight in such a combustible and exciting way. And whilst all this is happening on Titan, back on Earth, we have the invasion of the Black Order in Wakanda. We have all the different tribes unite, come together in Wakanda to face this enemy that they're about to come up against. We have that awesome moment with, Captain America and Black Panther. I love how Black Panther was, standing out front, leading his country into battle, and Captain America kind of taking a back seat. Such a great moment for that culture and for this country. As soon as the Outriders, I believe they're called, came down and started coming through the shield, we have such an awesome, epic scale, large CGI first battle scene, but it was just so exciting and enthralling to watch. I love the moment where Captain America and Black Panther sprint ahead, leading the way, and then just start taking out all the Outriders. Just such a great moment. Seeing these two individuals that are so superpowered and supernatural just absolutely wreck shop. Because if you didn't notice it from the title, the movie is called Avengers Infinity War. And because of that, there's a lot of action and a lot of big devastation happening in this film. All the action scenes are very distinct and climactic, and they feel like the third act of previous solo films. So for that reason, the structure is a bit different compared to previous superhero films, but the scale and epicness of all of this, especially in Wakanda, is just off the charts. And it's awesome seeing all these different heroes and our, come together and take on the huge army. It's just such a great fight scene, and seeing all the different powers again work together and all that. Because there's also a lot of things happening in this movie. There are a few different subplots that eventually all come together in the same location. Obviously, Thor reawakens the star, and creates the Stormbreaker weapon. it being teased that it could potentially even summon the Bifrost, which we get revealed that it can actually do that. And we have that awesome moment, maybe my favorite scene in the movie, where Thor, comes to Earth with Rocket Raccoon and Groot, and we have that awesome Avengers theme in the background, and we see him use the Stormbreaker weapon, just wipe out all those people, and then go down and say, bring me Thanos, and then just smash the ground, with his lightning powers and just wreck everyone. Such an awesome moment. Now back on Titan, like I was saying before, we have that 1v1 with Thanos and Iron Man. Obviously we get to see more of the nanotech suit and what it can do, but unfortunately we also see the limitations of the suit, and we see how it does take time to reform and come around him. And obviously Thanos notices this and he takes advantage of it, and when Tony whips out that the sharp sword type part and goes to stab Thanos, Thanos rips it off and uses it to his advantage and stabs Tony in the stomach where the suit has not reformed yet. And in this moment, my jaw just dropped. I legitimately thought, oh my god, I hope they don't kill Tony, because in this moment, it's just such a dramatic WTF moment. And it really heightened the stakes, because obviously Tony Stark, he's been around from the very beginning. He's the one that started this universe. So to see him bite the dust in this movie would have been really traumatizing. But instead, Doctor Strange stops Thanos and offers up the Time Stone in order to save his life. Again, I'm a bit confused by this part, because Doctor Strange definitely says earlier on in the film that if it comes between you, Tony, and Peter Parker, I will protect the Time Stone at all costs. So whether him sacrificing the stone has something to do with their eventual victory later on, or with the future that he saw, I have no idea, but it doesn't really feel like a character arc. Him going from this selfish person that will not save the people he's with, to this moment where he basically just gives the villain what he wants. Obviously, Thanos now has 5 out of 6 of the Infinity Stones, the last one being still the Mind Stone in Vision's head. So he goes to Earth, and we have that awesome face down between the Avengers and Thanos, and we see him just basically destroy everyone, wipe them out with ease. And it comes to this moment, this really emotional moment, where Vision says to Wanda, you need to destroy the stone now. And we have that really, heartbreaking moment where Wanda, destroys the stone and sacrifices Vision. But obviously, Thanos, he's got the Time Stone now. So that whole emotional scene equated to nothing, because now he can just reverse time, and after that, he brings back Vision, and instead of just yanking the stone out, he literally just buries into Vision's head and just yanks it out. Such a graphic and violent death for him, for Vision. And obviously, we have that moment where Thanos now has all 6 stones, puts it in the gauntlet, and he basically just gets the massive power up that he's been wanting this whole movie. Now, in this moment, my packed theatre were petrified. Obviously, from the comics, we have that infamous moment where he snaps his fingers and wipes out half of all life in the universe. That's been mentioned several times in this movie, of him going to do that. And obviously, then out of nowhere, we have Thor come through with his Stormbreaker weapon, throw it at Thanos, and bang, straight in the chest. And everyone's jaw just dropped, and we're all freaking out like, oh my god, is this how Thanos is going to die? He gets his 6 stones and then just bites it. But Thanos, again, it's not a killing blow, and he says, you should have aimed for the head, and bang, we get the snap. Now, before we see the devastation, we have that very brief moment where he gets teleported back to the Soul Realm or something, and has that very quick moment with young Gomorrah again. Again, not sure how this will factor into Avengers 4, but we see Thanos, basically, he's traumatized by what he's had to sacrifice, but he's ultimately got what he wanted, and he has succeeded in his mission. We obviously cut back, and the gauntlet has now infused onto his skin. It's the whole gauntlet is just fried. Obviously the gems are still attached and all that, and he obviously uses the Tesseract and teleports away. And we just see all the Avengers just look around, just all of them gobsmacked. And then we have that really traumatizing scene where we see some of our heroes just disintegrate and, be wiped away from existence. Obviously, Bucky is the first one to go, calling out to Steve, heartbreaking moment. Just every single hero that we see, fade away, just all hit the right emotional beats to get you, evoke an emotional response out of you. And obviously, if you've seen the Black Panther movie, obviously when T'Challa goes over to Okoye to, reach out a hand, all that emotion and all that from those movies, you understand it, so that when T'Challa fades away, you understand the relationship and the emotion felt by Okoye in that moment. And this goes through all the characters. Obviously, back on Titan, we see Mantis and Drax and Star-Lord and all that disappear. But obviously, the most heartbreaking moment for me was when Peter Parker was hugging Tony and saying, I don't want to go. Excellent performance by Tom Holland, just really well done, and it really pulls the heartstrings. And obviously, we see Peter fade away as well. And it's just and obviously Tony and Nebula are the last ones left on Titan, and we just see Tony just absolutely traumatized because what he's been predicting for all these years has finally come true. This is just such a big cliffhanger. I had a feeling coming into this movie that the movie would end on a cliffhanger, but I did not expect this ending at all. And the way they evoked an emotional response out of me was completely caught me off guard. It's just such a depressing end to this movie. And then at the very end of the film, we obviously see Thanos. I'm not too sure where he is. I think he might be on his homeworld, maybe. I'm not too sure. But he's looking out, onto a sunset, and we're seeing him, happy and proud of what he's just accomplished. That little smirk of Josh Brolin, really sells his performance. And we then fade to the black credits, just titles and everything. And just such a WTF, mind-blowing ending to an incredible film. At the very end, we have one post-credit scene, but we see Nick Fury and, Maria Hill, driving through the city, and we see their point of view as everyone is fading away. And obviously, Nick Fury whips out that little device and, sends the message, and that message gets sent, and it goes to Captain Marvel. So somehow Captain Marvel is going to factor into Avengers 4, and we'll see how she reacts to this scenario, because to be honest, I have no idea where they go into Avengers 4, because this is just such a mind-blowing ending, and I don't know how you come back from this. I came into this movie with high expectations, and I wanted it to emotionally impact me on some sort of level, and I can proudly say that this movie did an incredible job of emotionally impacting me. And the way this movie ended, just completely mind-blowing, and I'm really intrigued to see what they do in Avengers 4 that happens this time next year. So it's going to be a long 1 year wait, but I have no idea where we go, and I'm extremely excited for that. Well, they're my thoughts on Avengers Infinity War. An incredible film, not perfect, but still an enjoyable watch with plenty of surprises and crazy action scenes. Obviously, the ending is what people are going to be talking about for the whole year to come, but I'm very satisfied with this film. It came to an epic conclusion, and it delivered on the hype, and it did not disappoint. So I'm very satisfied with this movie. If you're new to the channel, feel free to check out my MCU movie review playlist, linked on screen or down in the description below. Obviously, if you've made it to this stage of the review, let me know what you guys thought on the movie, and what was your favourite part. Let me know down in the comments below, and please use a spoiler tag when you're discussing spoilers. If you like what you're seeing here, go down, hit the like button, and share it with your friends. But most importantly, click subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming content. I just want to say thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in another video.